Hello everyone, thank you for joining me here on this, another episode of Vegan Police TV. This episode is another one of the how-to videos that I hope will give people some, the beginning of an understanding of how to talk to people that they traditionally wouldn't talk to promote veganism or to talk about rights for other animals and things like that. So this one, as you can tell by the title, this one is about how to talk to a hunter. Now, before we go into that one, should let you know, so what makes me qualified to talk about that? Well, if you've watched some of my other episodes and you've read my story or you've seen my story somewhere else in the past, I was a hunter in the past. This was when I was in Victoria and in country Victoria, so I used to go hunting. This was a number of years ago now. I daren't count the years. So, I used to hunt kangaroos, rabbits. Occasionally went wild pig hunting, went deer hunting once or twice, and would even went down the point of killing what were labelled feral cats and dogs. So. This is the thing. So from that aspect, it sort of, I feel that it gives me a bit of a unique perspective compared to the traditional animal advocacy person, because I've been there, I've done that, I've lived that life, I understand how they think. So that's the reason for this one. So when you talk about hunters, now traditionally hunters fall into one of three categories. There's the hunters that just have the bloodlust, and in all honesty, I wouldn't be going anywhere near them. They're the ones that think that it's the thrill of the hunt, the thrill of the chase, and all that sort of stuff. If I've got time, I'll share. I'll just write it down. I'll share a story that I had a while ago. A story, something that happened to me a while ago when I was confronted with one of these hunters. So there's, as I said, they're the blood sport ones. They just think that hunting is a sport, that nothing they can do. That's it. That's man against nature. Blah 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 blah. The next hunters are the ones that they like to think of themselves as the sustainable hunters, because they're hunting stuff for them to eat. So they're hunting animals for them to eat. Now, they might go rabbiting or they might go deer shooting and things like that. So for them, it's about sustaining their life. So they're using it because then they think that hunting something free range, hunting an animal free range is, that's as ethical as you can get it. So we all know that that's sort of a bit of a stretch of the truth as well. And then there's the conservationist hunters. Now, for myself, I fell more into the part of the conservationist hunter and dabbled a little bit in the idea or the sort of the fringe of being a sustainable hunter, because there was every once in a while, if I did go shooting and there was enough left over, then hey, yeah, I would consume the animal that I killed. Pardon me. Now, the thing with that is, though, that how do you approach a conservationist hunter? Well, the idea with a conservationist hunter is that they believe that by killing X amount of species A or species B or whatever it is, or even killing species A, killing species B, it'll allow species A to survive and all that sort of stuff. It happens a lot with people who go fox hunting. They think, oh, well, if we go and kill the foxes, then that's going to help the sheep, or that's going to help whatever else, and which brings it into another thing about as well. So the way to get a conservationist hunter is that you sit down and you have a chat to them and you ask them why did they do it, and for them that they think that they're conserving the species. So you ask them, flat out ask them, what's the type of animal that they go and kill? Is it the biggest, let's say they're deer hunters, is it the biggest and the strongest buck? 9 times out of 10 they'll say yes, because they want to get either the biggest trophy or they want to get the most amount of meat out of the animal. So the thing with that is, if they are honestly claiming that they're conservation hunters and they believe that what they're doing is conserving the animals, then ask them why they are killing the strongest of the species and the strongest of the herd. Why don't they go for the young or the weak or the old ones? Why do they always go for the strongest ones? Because then if they're using that logic, then what they're doing is they actually aren't conserving the species, they're actually weakening the herd because the weakest survive, because the big one's taken out. So then the other thing that can happen with that is that the whole herd could get wiped out because there is no strong alpha males or beta males, or even alpha females and beta females, because the ones, with nature, it's always the strongest that survive. With nature, they're circumventing nature. They're saying, hey, no, we want to take you. So therefore, they're not conservationist hunters. If they turn around and say, well, these deer are doing, X amount of damage, doing this damage to area X, Y, or Z. So, well, okay, they may be. Who's to say that the damage that they're doing isn't part of a plan to improve it? They can't tell you that. And the other thing, have a look at the damage that the human race does to things. Have a look at how much damage. Now, I understand it's progress and all that sort of stuff. I'm not being anti-progressive or against modern technology or anything like that. What I'm saying is that you need to sit, if you're having a discussion with someone, you need to be aware that, throw that back at them. Oh, but we're doing it to survive. Well, so are these animals. What makes their life more important than yours? Oh, because we've designated them a pest. Well, have a look. Who's the biggest pest on this planet? The human race. We're an invasive species. We just go and obliterate everything. We just bulldoze over anything. If the human race was in the human body, then it would be classed as an infection of bacteria, whatever it was, and there would be all sorts of drugs created to get rid of that bacteria because of the way that humans spread, and all that. So, and that's the thing, is that, so talking to those hunters, that's how you need to sort of phrase the question, sort of ask them why. And this comes back to one of the other episodes as well. Keep asking them why. Keep asking, why. And as I said, don't do it in the 6-year-old thing. Oh, why is this? Why is that? Why are you doing this? But ask them genuine questions. Rephrase the paraphrase the question back to them, or the answer back to them. Say, okay, I understand that you you go hunting because you want to keep the environment like this for future generations. Okay, why do you think that is? Why do you believe that? When you consider how much damage the human race is doing, as we're continuing, suburbs are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, we're encroaching on their natural habitat. And this is the thing: what would you rather? Animals live in their natural habitat, even if that natural habitat is something that a dominant species has created, or have, only see animals behind glass cages in zoos, or only see them on the TV screen. And that's the thing. You need to have a ponder about it. Now, how do you talk to, there's more discussions. Just to wrap up talking to the Conservationist Hunter type, is that there is more to it, but it just depends on how they go about it and how you approach the hunters as well. Because if you approach them from a perspective that, hey, you're talking to another human being, then they're more likely to be open to you, and find common ground, find something that you can have in common. The approach that I use when I talk to hunters is, I normally talk about the outfit that they've got, that's sort of the weapons that they've got, with the rifles, shotguns, and things like that. But I know that because I've been in their past, and I can find common ground and can have conversations with them that way. So there's that. So it all comes down to sort of, how you approach yourself. So if you approach the hunter, full on, you're a murderer, blah, 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 then yeah, they're going to get their back up. They're not going to listen to a word that you say. If you approach them from somewhere you find common ground, conservation is the best common ground. So, everyone wants to conserve the planet. Hunters, that's why they do what they do, because they believe that they're conserving the environment, they're conserving the species and all that. So, talking to the more of the sustainable hunter, that, they think that what they're doing is they're going and providing for their family and all that sort of stuff. Ask them why. What makes them think that? Oh, because meat's too expensive. Well, we know why meat's too expensive, because of all the costs involved with it. So, who says you need to eat meat? Why can't you eat? The grains, that's far, far cheaper than going out, and by the time you've gone for the cost of getting your weapons license, by the time you've gone through your waiting period, you've applied, you've done the course, you've paid the money for your weapons license, you've paid the money for your permit to acquire. Now I'm talking about Australia, because this is what I'm familiar with, permits to acquire. Then you've gone through, you've got your safe, then you've got your cleaning kits, then you've got your ammunition. Then you've got your annual renewal fees or triannual renewal fees, depending on how often that is. You've got the transport to location XYZ, and normally the location is a substantial distance away. It's not just somewhere that's up, like your local shops and all that sort of stuff. So that cost all adds up. Does it? And then it comes down to your time as well. The time someone spends going hunting to get something that they think is free. That one, you need to have conversations with them. And this is what it is that don't be scared of talking to hunters. Don't be afraid of talking to hunters. I was one myself. I went toe-to-toe, as I've said in previous episodes, with, animal liberation activists in Victoria when I used to go duck shooting and all that. So this is the thing. Don't be afraid to talk to anyone. What you need to do is quickly acknowledge that the person that you are talking to may be, at that point in time, may be a lost cause. You may have something better, you may have a greater impact talking to someone else. Though, that being said, if you have a rational conversation with someone, even if you think that they are a lost cause, and have a rational conversation with them, no yelling and screaming, let them get fired up, then the impact that you have if someone else is watching may be greater than the impact that that you could have had if you were talking to that person directly, because they've seen you present yourself in a calm, rational manner to someone that was doing whatever. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. As I said, there is more. It comes down to how you approach people, and don't be misanthropic. Don't hate everyone, because there was a point in time where you were like that person. Yes, you may not have been a hunter. You were at a point in time when you considered that that animals were just property. So anyway, that's about it for this one. Might have been a bit all over. I can't talk straight for today for some reason. Might have been a bit all over the place, but anyway, the message is there. Don't put someone off because you think they're a hunter and they're a lost cause. There could be anything. You could be giving them the catalyst to help push them over the edge, or you could be helping them on their their journey to veganism. So anyway, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments, questions, all that sort of stuff. Thank you for watching. Remember, don't fear the vegan police. We're here to help.